shरणam, without being alternatively protected. ātmānam is oneself. Aikṣata. So, śrānta-vājinam, the horse is being tired. Astram, weapon. Brahma-śiraḥ, the topmost or ultimate nuclear. Mene, applied. ātma-trāṇaṁ, just to save himself. Dvija-ātma-jaḥ, the son of a brahmana. Translation. When the son of the brahmana, Aśvatthāmā, saw that his horses were tired, he considered that there was no alternative for protection outside of his using the ultimate weapon, the brahma-śira, nuclear weapon. When the son of the brahmana, Aśvatthāmā, saw that his horses were tired, he considered that there was no alternative for protection outside of his using the ultimate weapon, the brahmāstra, nuclear weapon, brahmāstra. In the ultimate issue only, when there's no alternative, the nuclear weapon called the brahmāstra is applied. The word dvija-ātma-jaḥ is significant here because Aśvatthāmā, although the son of Droṇācārya, was not exactly qualified brahmana. The most intelligent man is called brahmāna, and it is not the hereditary title. Aśvatthāmā was also formerly called the brahma-bandhu, or the friend of a brahmana. Being a friend of a brahmana does not mean that one is a brahmana by qualification. A friend of son of a brahmana, when fully qualified, can be called a brahmana, and not otherwise, since Aśvatthāma's decision is immature. He is purposely called herein the son of a brahmana. We'll read the verse one more time. Yadāśaraṇam, ātmānam, aikṣatam, śrānta-vājinam, astram, brahma-śiro, mene, ātma-trāṇam, dvija-ātma-jaḥ. When the son of the brahmana Aśvatthāmā saw that his horses were tired, he considered that there was no alternative for protection outside of his using. We're in the middle of this chapter, which is, you could say, a certain narrative that has interesting overtones. It's important that we can understand what is happening here. This story is told, of course, Sutta and Shuka are narrating, but it is very important to understand these verses in the context of the Srimad Bhagavatam as a whole. Like, for instance, Prabhupada definitely would not give a lecture on this verse. He chose verses that had like philosophical importance that would be applicable in many situations. He would not just take one particular instance, talk about Aśvatthāma's horses were tired and decided to use the brahmāstra weapon. And if you see at the end of the chapter what that did, it says it burned not only the earth, it burned the entire cosmic manifestation. So I'm not sure, of course, it was reacted on by Arjuna, but when you're reading it, it reads, to say the best, like a fairy tale. You cannot understand such an event. Everybody's burning, and yet nothing happened, even though the brahmāstra was released, and then, in a sense, you could say, opposed. So when we're reading this, we have to understand what is the purpose of understanding things to much cosmic manifestation. So I'm not sure, of course, it was reacted on by Arjuna, but when you're reading it, it reads, to say the best, like a fairy tale. You cannot understand such an event. Everybody's burning, and yet nothing happened. Even though the is how do we put it in a larger context? And also, I'm saying this privately, of course, but to my small audience, that everyone has a different taste when it comes to Krishna's pastime. We don't say that. I mean, you may not know what is called rasa in terms of future relationship to Krishna, whatever you want to call it. But we do have a type of tendency toward which we are going. It's like, even as non-devotees, some people like Shakespeare, some people like poetry by some 17th century poets, some people like Bogdan, some people don't like any literature. So this is natural. All the 12 emotions that apply to the devotees that we use are pointed out many times. Ordinary emotions that we all can relate to, some negative and some positive. So when I first came to the movement and I started hearing some of these very dramatic chapters, also particularly this chapter, the son of Droṇācārya and all of this chaos. And I remember one devotee was saying, oh, I love these pastors, I love killing and bloodshed. One devotee was telling me. I said, how? He said, oh, I watch it on TV, I love it. And I'm saying, I've never watched TV my entire life because I cannot tolerate violence. I really can't tolerate it. So you can see the very opposing audience we have. So it's very important that we see differences. And also the other day, I can't remember who it was, but it was one of the acharyas I was reading, and he was narrating, I think it was Jiva Goswami Gopachampu, and he was reading some of Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, and he focuses on that. Even when Krishna, I think, when he has left, he's still, the accent is always on the gopis and Krishna and he comments on Draupadi and her reaction, and it's not like he's fully supporting her. He's not. He said, Prabhupada says something like also, we also should use, like Prabhupada says often, use your common sense. Prabhupada says it now and then. When there's so many problems, he says, hey, come on, people, use your common sense. Okay? So, he is also, there is some kind of, there's a critique of Draupadi that she does this. It's not that she's completely admired, you see. And then, of course, it's very, anyhow, this chapter is very interesting, and you have to see it that this may be very enlightening, but it may not be the kind of lesson that everybody wants to learn from the Śrānta-vājinam, because we all want to learn different lessons according to our mood. If we're in a certain mood, then all of these killing episodes, they're not as charming. And it's just like we mentioned before, there's a great difference between Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavad Gita. You see, of course, the 11th canto. So these are both Krishna's teachings, but if we compare them side by side, you can see completely different emphasis. And the Bhagavad Gita, there's emphasis on sitting peacefully in meditation. The mood is, I forget how it goes in Sanskrit, but how shall there be happiness if there's no peace? You see. So where does that verse come in Bhagavad Gita? And in chapter 2, it says, Aśvatthāmā kuta sukha. How can there be happiness if there's no peace? So this is the concluding question of the second chapter. Concluding. So when you're reading the Bhagavad Gita, it moves towards the subject of peace. So then he's saying, well, of course, he's talking to Buddha. Buddha is not a warrior. Buddha just like him. When Buddha came to bring a message to the gopis, everybody saw it was him. He looked like they had a warrior. And they ran towards him. Then they saw, oh, yes, I'm with someone else. Very interesting. So I did a little bit of research on Buddha, what rasa he is considered to be in, and feel free to what do you think, what rasa he is in? What's his mood? What is it? Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. So I read 3 different opinions. One of them says that she's in Shantaras. Another one says that he's in Dasharas, and another one, it doesn't exactly name it, but Krishna says Uddhav is as good as me. He's like no different from me. So can you imagine that he is elevated to the level of Lord Shri Krishna? Yeah, equality. Yeah, you can say friendship. So that your response is the best. It's friendship. You see, so it's very, also deep friendship in such a degree that he allows Uddhav to console the gopis. What do you think of that? Very, very high. So touch it. So the different moods are there, and an inappropriate mixture is not actually recommended.
realize that according to your mood, you basically go through to different, you can say, different destinations. If your mood is Vajra Bhakti, if you got rules and regulations and following, then you go to Dwarka. If your mood is mixed, it's Vajra Bhakti and Radha Bhakti, then you go to Mathuram. But if your mood is pure Rama, then you go to brahma-śiraḥ. And these are, just statements in one paragraph, and they can be unpacked, ad nauseam, or ad infinitum, if you will. So everything has its place. Everything has its place. Just like in the Gita. I mean, if I ask any one of you what is your favorite verse or verses, then not just one. So, do you have a favorite verse of the Gita? Several. Okay, just you can name one of them. Good. So very nice. So you have different ones, and they resonate with your moods. Otherwise, they would not be your particular kind of verses. So, some of the verses are very, very generic, and these generic verses in the Gita, I often like them somewhat because they can be taken as a motto, as a guiding principle for so many people. Like that verse, yo me pasiti sarvatra, one who sees me everywhere. Ye sarvam yacha mai pasiti, and sees everything in me. And Krishna says, that person sees me everywhere and sees everything in me. He is never lost. Now you might have lost him. So when you hear these verses, they're so beautiful. They're it's like a balm on the heart. There's no argument. There's nothing to argue. In English you call it a kind of panentheism. Panentheism, to see God, to see not everyone you see everything in God, not the other way around, not pantheism, but this is pantheism. It's very, very beautiful. And then there's another one. Let's see there. Memorize the verse. Let me see where it is. It's 9:4. Let me take a quick look at it. It's very beautiful. You don't memorize it or you don't quote it as often. But it says, ātma-trāṇaṁ sarvam yadat avyakta mūtinam. Avyakta. Stani sarvam tani nam chaham teshvam avastita. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I'm not in them. Because it's other places it says I'm in them also. But this has the same root as Bhagavad Gita 6:13. So this is 9:4. Very, very beautiful. See, everybody can relate to it. A Christian can relate to it. Anybody can relate to it. Because there's God in his unmanifested form. So, but for a devotee, it is manifest. Somewhere, Prabhupada was saying, like when an actual advanced devotee sees a stone, says, they don't see stone, they don't see matter. Guess what they see? And they have the image of Prabhupada used. Energy. They see the energy of that stone. So when we think of the stone, this elementary idea, the stone brings weight. You can keep something down and put it in stone. So it has weight, it has solidity, and it functions in a certain way. And what to speak of in the Loka is the stones are alive. And Krishna steps on the stone and melts. You see? So we have to consider so many aspects. And it's not that we have to start splitting hairs over it, but we should be very much aware of very generic understanding that is applicable to a certain situation. Can you see it? Does it make sense? So that Prabhupada gives many examples. I just give you, I give you that one. So Krishna plays, of course, different roles with different devotees. With the gopis, he plays the role as a lover. With his parents, he plays the role of the son. With his friends, he's an equal lover. this audience does not consist on Radha Bhaktas. That you can be aware of. It's not Radha Bhaktas, it's all the effect. People coming straight in from the street, many people coming in from the street. So here, of course, he talks about Aśvatthāmā is not actually Brahman and Prabhupada said it's not a hereditary title. But then he says, but you can be qualified if you are a brahmana or the son of a brahmana. So it's very interesting. So it's controversial, but it says Aśvatthāmā is a brahma-bandhu. We call that a friend of brahmanas. So that is given like this. We should understand that he's not fully qualified as a brahman. He doesn't act like it because without saying a brahman is not even interested in any of these things. Arjuna is not a brahman. You think he would be on Kurukshetra? He's a brahman. Of course not. So all of these different modalities, they need to be applied and understood in a certain way. Like I also this morning Benedict issued a session on the mixtures of the rasas, because that's what it means, mixture of rasa. Prabhupada was mentioning a certain line from a certain song that we don't sing, but it had the word sham in it, sham, forget how that sham glory. So something, he said, this is not for neophytes. This is for advanced devotees. This is for those who are on the not self-realized platform, but in the intimate platform of Raga and Rupa Bhakti. And then he was also explaining what is the difference between somebody who is Dvija Bhakti and somebody who is Raga and Rupa Bhakti. Well, Dvija Bhakti follows the rules and regulations. They actually love it. They're very much dedicated to it. And in Raga and Rupa Bhakti, it's not rules that determine your mood, but it's greed. It's raga, it's greed. You want a relationship with Krishna. Don't tell me anything else. Go away. So, Prabhupada said, so some of these bhajans that we might hear in, let's say, Radha or intimate circle, are not for neophyte devotees. Just like your children don't have to read the love letter between your mom and dad when they first met. That's not really boring. I mean, maybe you do, but that's not your mood. Your mood with your parents is all around and say, okay, mom and dad, So to access that highest mood, you have to be qualified. And this is why Prabhupada always speaks against the samadhinas, because in the general opinion, these are people that don't follow rules and regulations per se. Maybe they have, they don't follow, the rule about, sex outside of marriage or whatever. But the point is that if you follow the rules and regulations meant for your position, you will advance. If you try and upgrade it to artificial standard, you will eventually fall down. So it's very important to understand who you are yourself. And you don't have to get information from all your raw brothers and sisters who you are, because they don't actually know exactly who you are. Super soul, he knows. You take shelter of super soul, you take shelter of the guru, and you take shelter of noble sangha. That is most important, noble sangha. Because noble sangha elevates you, doesn't put you down. I remember when I first came, devotees would say to me, you say, you've only been here 10 days, and I've been here 3 months. And I was like, oh, yes. So I was not allowed to ask questions. It was very, very heavy. They say, I've been here 6 months, who are you? So, but then of course, later on we read in the books